Respected viewers, dear family of dreamers, thank you for giving me something more valuable than money tonight. Your attention, your trust, your quiet hope. I don't stand here as someone who has all the answers. I stand here as someone who has spent a lifetime listening to markets, to mistakes, to fear, to patience, and to time itself. There are moments in life when destiny whispers instead of shouting, when success doesn't arrive with fireworks, but with a question that won't let you sleep. What if wealth isn't something you chase, but something you grow into? What if the real risk isn't losing money, but losing time, perspective, and courage? And what if everything you believe about investing is only the first page of a much longer story? I've watched fortunes rise in silence and collapse in applause. I've seen brilliant minds fail because they couldn't wait, and ordinary people win because they refused to quit. The market doesn't reward intelligence alone. It rewards temperament, it rewards humility. And above all, it rewards those who respect time like a sacred partner, not an enemy. Let me tell you a quiet truth: early money magnifies who you already are. If you're impatient, it will expose you. If you're fearful, it will punish you. And if you're disciplined, if you're calm when others panic, it will eventually recognize you like an old friend. Most people think investing begins with charts and numbers. It doesn't. It begins in the mirror. It begins with asking yourself how you react when things don't go your way. Because markets, like life, spend more time being uncomfortable than fair. And if you need constant reassurance, constant excitement, constant validation, this journey will break your heart before it fills your pockets. I remember a time, not glamorous, not heroic, just real, when uncertainty sat across the table for me every morning. Decisions felt heavy. The future refused to explain itself. And I learned something invaluable: waiting is not doing nothing. Waiting is a position. Patience is not weakness. Patience is strength under control. There was a young man once, maybe you know him, maybe he's you, who believed every opportunity was the last one. He rushed, he overreached, he confused motion with progress. And every mistake taught him the same lesson: slow down, or the market will slow you down for you painfully. Wealth is not built by being right all the time. It's built by surviving long enough for your good decisions to matter. You don't need to win every day. You just need to avoid losing everything on one bad decision, driven by ego, fear, or the need to prove something. Here's another truth most people don't like to hear: the market doesn't owe you clarity, it doesn't owe you fairness, and it certainly doesn't owe you profits on your schedule. When you accept that, when you stop arguing with reality, something powerful happens. You begin to adapt instead of react. I've seen people with modest incomes create extraordinary wealth because they respected compounding like a law of nature, and I've seen people with enormous resources destroy themselves because they believed size made them invincible. It doesn't. Discipline does. Every great investment story begins with discomfort, with doubt, with standing alone while the crowd runs the other way. If you need consensus to feel safe, you will always arrive late. The real opportunities rarely announce themselves. They whisper, and only the patient are listening. Ask yourself this tonight: are you investing to escape fear or to build freedom? Are you chasing returns or constructing a life where money serves your values, not your anxiety? Because the purpose behind your money will decide how you behave when pressure arrives. And pressure always arrives. Consistency beats brilliance when brilliance gets bored. Long-term vision defeats short-term excitement every single time. The people who win are not the loudest, they're the calmest. They don't panic when headlines scream. They don't celebrate too early when things go right. They stay balanced, grounded, prepared. If you remember nothing else from this moment, remember this: your greatest asset is not your capital. It's your mindset under stress. Protect it, train it, respect it. Because when markets fall apart, that is when character quietly decides who stays in the game and who disappears. And as we move deeper into this journey, into the hard-earned lessons that only time can teach, we'll begin to explore why surviving the storms matters more than predicting the weather, and why the longest road, walked with discipline, often leads to the most meaningful wealth. Oh, because survival is the invisible victory no one applauds, yet it's the only reason future success becomes possible. Most people want certainty before they act. They want guarantees, forecasts, reassurance. But the truth is, certainty is expensive, and by the time you can afford it, the opportunity is already gone. The market charges a premium for comfort. If you want extraordinary outcomes, You must learn to sit with uncertainty without flinching. I've learned over the years that fear doesn't come from risk itself, it comes from not understanding your own limits. When people lose money, they often say the market betrayed them. No, they betrayed their own plan. They reached for returns their temperament couldn't handle. They ignored the quiet voice that said, "This is too much." There was a small business owner I once watched closely, not famous, not flashy, just steady. Every year, he invested what he could afford to lose, not emotionally, but realistically. When downturns came, he didn't freeze. He didn't double down in desperation. He adjusted. He waited. Years later, when others were exhausted from chasing quick wins, he had something rare: staying power. And staying power compounds in ways spreadsheets can't capture. You see, the real edge in investing is not information. Everyone has access to information now. The edge is behavior. How you behave when the screen turns red. How you behave when people around you sound smarter, louder, more confident. The market has a way of testing whether your strategy is real or just borrowed confidence. One of the hardest lessons to accept is that doing nothing is often the most intelligent move. Cash is not laziness. Cash is patience with intent. It gives you flexibility when others are forced into decisions they regret. It allows you to act from strength instead of survival. Too many people think opportunity is something you chase. It isn't. Opportunity comes to those who are prepared emotionally, mentally, financially. Preparation looks boring. It looks like discipline. It looks like saying no far more often than yes. But when the moment arrives, preparation turns into quiet dominance. Let me tell you something that took me years to understand: losses are not the enemy. Unlearned losses are. Every mistake carries data. The moment you personalize it, the moment you let it define your identity, you lose twice. Once in capital, once in confidence. The winners extract the lesson, release the emotion, and move forward lighter than before. Markets move in cycles, but human psychology barely changes. Greed dresses itself as optimism. Fear disguises itself as caution. And the hardest skill you'll ever master is knowing which voice you're listening to. That's why self-awareness is a financial skill, not a philosophical one. Ask yourself honestly, when things go well, do you become reckless? And when things go badly, do you become rigid? Both are dangerous. Balance is not found in predictions. It's found in preparation and humility. Long-term investing is an act of faith, not blind faith, but informed patience. You're betting that innovation will continue, that discipline will be rewarded, that time favors those who respect it. And if you don't believe that, no strategy will save you. There's a quiet peace that comes when you stop trying to impress the market, when you stop measuring yourself against other people's timelines. Wealth grows faster when you stop staring at it every minute like a plant that needs sunlight, not constant digging. Remember this: the goal is not to be right today. The goal is to still be standing tomorrow. Every decision should be filtered through one simple question: does this help me survive long enough for my best ideas to work? Because the real tragedy is not missing an opportunity. The real tragedy is being out of the game when the opportunity finally arrives. And as we move closer to the deeper wisdom, the lessons that only decades can teach, we'll begin to explore why emotional control outperforms intelligence, why simplicity beats complexity, and why true wealth feels calmer than you ever imagined. Time does something remarkable if you let it. It reveals what matters and strips away what never did. After decades of watching cycles rise and fall, one truth becomes impossible to ignore: complexity is often a disguise for insecurity. People build complicated strategies not because they work better, but because simplicity forces accountability. When your approach is clear, your mistakes are clear too. And that honesty, that clarity is where real growth begins. The greatest investors I've known didn't chase everything. They chose carefully. They understood their circle of competence and respected its borders. They didn't confuse confidence with arrogance. They knew saying, "I don't know," was not a weakness, it was protection. There's a moment in every long journey when ambition must mature into wisdom. Early on, you want to prove yourself, you want to win big. Later, you want to last. You want stability. You want your money to support your life, not consume it. That shift from excitement to endurance is where lasting wealth is born. I've seen people reach numbers they once dreamed of, only to realize they never learned how to feel secure. They kept chasing, kept risking, kept pushing long after the game had already been won. Don't let that be you. Wealth without peace is just another form of poverty. True financial strength feels quiet. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't panic during volatility. It doesn't brag during success. It moves deliberately with intention, with restraint. And restraint, in the end, is what separates temporary winners from lifelong stewards of capital. You don't need to predict the future to succeed. You need to prepare for multiple futures. Diversification is not about fear, it's about humility. It's the recognition that the world is complex and that respecting uncertainty is wiser than fighting it. Over time, you learn to detach your self-worth from your net worth. Markets will test you. They will humble you. And if you let them, they will teach you patience, gratitude, and perspective. These are not soft skills. They are survival skills. One of the most powerful realizations is this: money is a tool, not a scorecard. It should buy you time, flexibility, and peace of mind, not constant stress and comparison. If your strategy keeps you awake at night, it's too expensive, no matter the return. Long-term vision is built on daily discipline, small decisions, boring routines, quiet consistency. That's how decades of wisdom turn into sustainable abundance. Not overnight miracles, not dramatic bets, just respect for process again and again. As you grow older in this journey, you stop asking, how much can I make? And start asking, what kind of life am I building? And when those two answers finally align, something extraordinary happens. Money stops being the goal and becomes the ally. This is where the journey naturally pauses, not with noise, not with urgency, but with reflection, with gratitude for the lessons learned and patience for the lessons still ahead.